Good afternoon, guys. Okay, so this video is going to be way different than all the other videos that I have done so far, because this video is just going to be me telling you what I've done today. So today is Sunday. We had Saturday was yesterday, obviously. We had a refrigerator go out on us yesterday. Woke up in the morning and our refrigerator was sitting at 63 degrees. So I dealt with that yesterday, and then my AC decided to give out. Kind of burnt up a contactor. So that's what I was doing yesterday. Luckily, you can't find those contactors actually at Home Depot or anything. I have a friend that does AC work. He lives probably 45 minutes away from me. So I called him. He says, yeah, I've got the contactor, come pick it up. So I picked it up and I swapped out the contactor on our AC unit for the house. And the fridge was a long ongoing battle yesterday. But we got all that taken care of. Our fridge is now fridging. Our AC is now ACing. So this morning, what I did was I was kind of stressing like, oh man, I don't really have any content. But all I recorded was me cutting a hole in the back of the bus for the fuel sending unit. So I cut that hole in the back of the bus for the fuel sending unit so I would have access to it. So what I'll do is I will show you the access that I made, and then we'll be back to talk about that plus a lot of other stuff. So there is the sending unit. Ow, I just hit my head. And I cut a hole that big. So I will be making a panel to cover this after I clean wire wheel and address all this with the patch panels and stuff. That's the piece that I cut out. So anyway, I'm gonna make a panel that fits over this and then comes down over that. So you can lift it up and close it, and it'll have a seal all the way around it, so it'll seal up the outside to inside. So I did that, one, for testing purposes. So I tested the gauge right off these two. So I made a jumper off from this one and then a jumper off from that one, and I tested the gauge off this. The gauge does not work. It didn't move, it didn't do anything, it didn't blip. So I decided to go a different route, and I will show you that now. So this is the route I went. So the ohm, when I read the ohms off the tank, they do read 87 ohms. And the tank is full. I verified that the tank is full. So this gauge right here reads 33 empty, 240 full for ohms. So right now when I turn the key to the on position, it's reading a half tank. And you know what? And I know a half a tank is a full tank. So what I am doing is I measured the bolt span, the flange, and the depth of the tank. So the depth of this tank is 7 inches from top to bottom. So I was on Amazon, bebopping around there, and I found a gas tank sending unit that's made for today's gas, that does 33 to 240 ohms. And you can actually get them in different depths. So I went with a 6-inch one. The thought on that being that I'll have 1 inch of reserve fuel when this gauge reads empty. So this sending unit is made for marine use, as well as like off-roading, ATVs, anywhere where you need a gas sending unit that's that range and various lengths. So you can get them all sorts of lengths. So what I'll do is I'll put a picture of what I did order right here. So that's the gauge I ordered, or the tank sending unit. I will not get that sending unit until tomorrow, Monday. So I put a pin in that until I get my sending unit so I can put that in. So that's one thing off the list, because you know, I'm tired of chasing after this gas gauge issue. I want a reliable gas gauge that reads the amount of fuel that I have in the tank. And after doing a lot of research all week, a lot of people have problems with even the aftermarket gauges that are Volkswagen, which is what this is. Hold on. So this gauge is a brand new gauge. Well, it's brand newer than what was in this stock. So this is a 12-volt gauge. And you know what? It doesn't read a thing, not a blip off that needle. The only time that I can get it to read is when I jump the sending unit to the ground automatically, like on the outside. So I'm done. I messed with my blue truck, the 3100 truck. I messed with that for like a month, trying to figure out the gas gauge, the ohms, the tank, I just ended up, because I wanted to use the stock one in the cluster. I just eventually, I got a 0 to 90, used the stock S10 sending unit that was in the tank already, set it down low, now I know the gas is in it. Okay, so that's the gas gauge situation. So the only thing I got left with the gas gauge is to put in the sending unit, and that wiring that's in there right now, that when I turned it on, it went right to half. That is the wiring that is already ran in the bus. So I know I don't have to use jumpers. I don't have to run new wiring for the sending unit at all. That ground that you saw back there on the sending unit is hooked to absolutely nothing right now. It was just a test lead that I had. So that's where that is. All right. So second thing. So at work this week, again with the speedo. Hold on a second. So I decided that I am not messing around with the speedometer cables anymore, or the speedometer at all. So the speedo cable, none of the lights worked along the bottom for generator, for oil pressure. The high beams lights didn't work, the blinkers didn't work, nothing. You know, I had 3 wires hooked up to it, right? And none of them did anything. Tested them off, nothing. So what I did is I kept the gauge though. I mean, I still have the gauge, obviously. 65,823 is the mileage that's on that gauge. So I'm keeping that just because it goes with the bus and it's original. Me thinking, okay, I went through my box of parts up there because I remember seeing a speedometer cluster, another one. So I did find one. It was up there. It's a newer one. I think this is out of a Carmagia, whatever, like that. This one was obviously fuel injection, or actually I think it was diesel, because there's a glow plug light, there's ATF light, right, headlight light. But anyway, so that's the bezel for it. So this one right here, I had absolutely no use for, so I made a use for it. So at this point, I'm going to show you what I did at work all week. It's just a couple pictures, just show you what I did. So I made all that stuff at work for this. So this is a GPS speedometer, right? So it goes right in. Now this is 3 3/8. That opening is 4 3/8. As I was looking for GPS speedometers, I found one that was 4 3/8, and then it goes up to 5-inch, but a lot of 3 3/8 ones. So, but the 4 3/8 one did not have any turn signals on it because it's made for a boat. So there's no turn signals on it, no high beams, nothing like that. So this one has right and left turn signal and the high beam indicator. So this sets in just like that. So I made that little trim ring. I panel bonded it in because I was not about to weld that because of the thin metal. So the only thing is, I know I have to have the speedometer, or the GPS is supposed to be facing a window or sitting on the roof or something like that. Now on my orange truck, I did not. I actually had it sitting on the firewall up underneath, outside on the firewall next to the brake booster. So I'm going to see if this will work if it's there. If it's not, there's a hole in the top of the dash next to the ashtray. The hole isn't big enough to fit the connector through, but I can make it big enough to fit the connector through, and then put a little grommet in there, and then have the wire just come out and bloop, sit it right there, because the antenna is got sticky tape, so that can just sit right on the dash. Like, it's okay. This, I don't know if you've noticed, but this really isn't like a purest dream, right? So anyway, so that's the speedo, and I'll put a link, or not a link, but I'll put in a picture of the exact one that this one is. Very inexpensive and gives you GPS, has good reviews, so why not? Okay, so I'll put that in here. So this has everything that I need. It has, I can backlight it red or yellow. I'm gonna go yellow because I don't really like red. They didn't have a white one, but anyway. And then they have an external button, which I mounted up underneath the dash, out of the way so you can't see it. And that resets the trip odometer. And you can also use it to like set the mileage to what your speedometer was. I'm not worried about that. 12 volt power, this goes 12 to 24 volts. Red backlight, left turn signal, obviously ground. This one is the yellow backlight, and then I have the high beam indicator right there, and then this one is the right turn signal. So that's going to be just dandy for what I want. Okay. Now we'll go over the electrical stuff. Okay. So I had no brake lights. I'll show you that here. And that's a problem. So I haphazardly, meaning I got everything working as far as like turn signals and all that stuff. You see now I've got headlights in. I did go with hella bulbs. So inside those headlight bezels are little running lights, and they were white before, but I really wanted the orange ones. So again, throughout the week, I researched to find out what bulbs would work in there, because they're pretty basic, and the bulbs that were in there were actually 6-volt bulbs still. So yeah, that's converted to 12 volts, but there was a lot of stuff that was still 6 volts in there. So these are the bulbs. So 7506A, and these are by Hella, and these are hella bright, I'll tell you that much. So, and it really looks good up there. So at the end here, I'm gonna kind of go through a video of everything that's working now, and everything is working now. Okay, so that's those, and the headlights themselves are just Sylvania's Silver Stars. Sylvania Silver Stars H6024. All this stuff I got off from Amazon, but I got a pair of these, and these are bright, very bright. So I got those, and those are all now working, high and low beams as they should, and running lights are on, and I've got, I printed off 9 pages of the wiring diagrams, individual circuits. So just to give you an idea of what I've been doing with today. So there's my 4-way flashers, headlight circuits, generator circuits or alternator, the blinker circuits. 4-way flashers and blinker circuits are very important in this because of the flashers that I found that were bad. starting. This is when I was up underneath the dash, bringing in or taking care of all the main wiring that was coming in. That was just a big old rat's nest underneath there. And the brake lights, very important to get those back working, which they do now. And then I have the full overall diagram of every electrical system that's on this with all the keys that tell me what is what. All right? Here's the diagram key. So if I need to know what J4 is, I look here and then it tells me what J4 does or what it is and what it goes for. I'm telling you, today was very, very crazy. I mean, yesterday was crazy too, fixing all my broken stuff, but today was crazy. And then here is the fuse box and how every fuse runs in and out of there and what it goes to and where it goes to. Okay, so with all that being said, I did not record anything of me up underneath that dash doing all the wiring. Because one, I'm in a really tight space, and two, I can't get the camera anywhere where you guys need to see what I'm doing. And you know what, number three? It's wiring. I mean, that's about watching, as fun as watching paint dry on a house, right? It's just, all you have to do is just go very slow. I did get a regular test light, you know, one you touch on ground, you touch on the post and it lights up, the bulb, old school type. So I did get one of those so I could go through some of these simple circuits. So everything works now. Brake lights, flashers, left turn signal, right turn signal, high beams, low beams, the gas gauge, the interior, not interior lights because I got to get a dome light to put in, but the wiring is right there to do it. I just haven't hooked that up yet. And that's an easy circuit to run in. And all the speedo stuff, I have a harness that's now out. And I will show you a video of all that right here. So those are the little orange lights. I love those. So there it is, right down to the brake lights working. So the problem I was having with the brake lights was this guy. So this guy right here is a 6-volt flasher. If you remember from the last video, I had like a set of flashers that were going off when the emergency flashers, the 4-ways were going. Well, this little guy, internally, it had a piece of like a tie wrap plastic zip tie around it, like kind of like holding it together. And I see why now. So I was like, oh man, that's kind of ugly. Let me just chip it. So I popped the little zip tie off, and it moved the case out a little bit. And my 4-way flashers didn't work at all. But you know, when I went to power it up and see what was going on with the pins, it was intermittent problem on the outflow here. So this is the outflow. These things are, lack of a better term or lack of a better explanation, this old 6-volt thing makes a lot of noise, ding 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 ding, but it was absolutely useless as soon as I cut that zip tie off, because it let the case expand a little or something, and something wasn't working right. So I took that out and tossed it. So once I took that out and tossed it, I had to get another flasher for the 4-ways because it doesn't work the same as like like the GM pinouts for all the other things are all kind of wired through. Anyway, so I had to get another flasher. So I got another 2-prong flasher just for that one side. And then once I figured out the wiring harness from my wiring diagrams, I found out. Now I'm not going to say I did all the diagram stuff today. I really studied that thing last night late after I got everything all tied up. I started around 7 in the morning yesterday, and I got everything taken care of and done around 4-ish, 4:30. So in the evening, my wife has yoga training, so she was teaching yoga teachers how to teach. It's one of her responsibilities that she does. And then she had a class afterwards to teach, so she didn't get home till like around 8:39. So from 4 until about 8:39, I just studied those diagrams, like what's going on, how does this all work? And it's very simple. It's actually simple, but it's complicated at the same time because of how Volkswagen does all their pinouts, at least back in '63. Okay, so I replaced the flasher, and then I started individualizing all the whole harness down there, which looked like this. So these are all my jumper leads that I've been kind of working on. I did pop a fuse when I was working on those headlights because I grounded out a positive wire. And I'll tell you, trying to find European fuses, yeah, that's a toughie. Like that, which is just a rat's nest, especially after I was testing with the gas gauge. And once I figured out the flashing situation with the flashers and the brake lights and it runs off from a brake light switch that feels the pressure, pressure in the master cylinder. It comes off the back of the master cylinder. Once I figured out how that was supposed to run and that was supposed to run with the flasher, I got my brake lights back. Okay, so I'm already 22 minutes into just explaining all this stuff. That's just me talking. So what I'm going to do is I am going to swap you around and I am going to show you what I did today. Okay guys, so here we go. So there we are. So this is my flasher for the turn signal. And way down there is the flasher for the emergency lights. So I used the same mounting spot as what I had before. And these right here, they are just those metal, I don't know what they're called. I'll show you here in a minute. And then I drilled the hole for an M6, and then that just attaches right there, up out of the way. Nice, they're not dangling. So up underneath, I'm not saying I have it 100%. Well, I do actually. I'm not gonna lie. I do have it 100%. This right here, this is a set of wires that comes off from this switch. This switch does nothing. So this switch, I think, according to the diagrams and stuff like that, that's supposed to be for the windshield wipers. It's got power to it. When you turn the key to the on position, it's got power. When you pull the knob out, it throws power to this guy right here. Just this little harness. I did not take that out, and I cannot take the switch out because you see they epoxied all the knobs onto the switches, so I cannot take, see that? So I cannot take any of the knobs off of any of these switches that are in here. So we'll go back down here. So here we go. So here's the turn signal, and I am not a big fan of wire looming, the plastic stuff. So I am a big fan of fabric tape. So everything is fabric tape loomed together. Here's the main harness that comes back from the back. I am going to leave this, even though these little, I did blow one of these when I was testing something, and I actually had to order them off from Amazon because like no one had them. And the biggest problem, now I'm gonna say these would be really nice if these were actually like real ceramic coated ceramic fuses. I'll probably get some. Right now with the plastic ones, I'm reading that the plastic will melt before the wire actually pops. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so I got this. So this harness right here is for all the lights that comes up right here and then comes into this switch right here. So this is the turn signal switch. So like I said, I'm a big fan of the, I don't know, old school fabric tape because I feel that it's more period correct, right? So right there is the gas gauge wiring. This guy right here, I had a big hole here. So I just went ahead and put a charger in there, right? And it's actually an on-off button right here. This only comes on if the key is in the on position. I didn't put it so it would be a constant draw, you know. Now this guy is the only guy that I got hanging out. So this light was hooked to nothing. It looks pretty good, but it doesn't work. So this right here is my low oil pressure light. So this would normally be like green, right? And then red would be a generator light. I am not putting in a generator light because I don't think there's a wire. When I tested it up here, there's no wire that's running from my alternator to a light that was up here or in the speedo. So I ordered a new, actually it's the one I ordered is an LED and it shows a picture of the oil and yeah, and it's red, it's not green. But I ordered the same size. That hole will be taken up. Okay, so we'll give you a rundown here. So there's my gas gauge I showed you. This one right here, this was originally a 4-way flasher light. I'm not going to hook this up because one in the back, there's no ground to it. It's just like in there. This may be a stock piece, but I'm just going to leave it in there. So this is going to be nothing. Here, so inside here, you can see I've got a harness. So I made this harness up, and I'm not cutting any of these till I'm not cutting them short until I actually get the speedo in. But these are all my wires for that: left, right, turn signal, high beam, low beam, backlight, stuff like that. So that's on this side. So now I'll show you the other side. So here's this side. So it's a better view of everything. All the harnesses are all taped up, right? These are all the powers that go into the ignition switch, which I couldn't take out because the knob's glued to it. So, and then this is the other relay. So this is the emergency flashers is on this side, right? And it comes up. So I do have one zip tie holding it up here. That's to hold this harness up out of the way. I'm okay with that one. And for those clamps right there, those little rubber guys, I just went to Home Depot. They're these guys. Insulated cable clamps, right? So, but they go perfect. Like, I think that looks great. And then there's the main harness that comes from the back of the bus. All the power wires come in, and it no longer looks like a rat nest, and all of them are sectioned out, right? So this set goes up to the ignition. These come in here. This other set right here goes out and underneath to all the lights in the back. This section right here, this is a combination of all the turn signals and flashers and all that are all wired out there, there, and in the back. Oh, and another thing that I found while I was messing around, look at that. So these are put on with sheet metal screws for the pedal. So I gotta fix that. Who would use sheet metal screws to hold the accelerated pedal in? I don't know. So this is the hole in the dash that I was talking about, that I might run the antenna out up here if need be. I do not have a radio for it. I didn't plan on putting a radio in it, but I may try to find a block off plate or something of that nature. So that's what I've been doing today. Just a bunch of wiring, and you know, lengthened a few wires, shortened a few wires, cleaned up all the butt connectors that were up underneath there. Everything is soldered and heat shrink now, wire loomed, and with fabric tape, because I really like how the fabric tape looks. And regular electrical tape that was up there, it's sticky, it's horrible, right? But yeah, the fabric tape, I just picked it up off of Amazon too. I had like 7 rolls of it left from the GMC, so I had plenty. So that's going to be this video. That's it. I was kind of stressing, like, hey man, I can't get up underneath there to record. I mean, I started to try to, but it just wasn't working, you know, because I was in the way more than anything was recording. And yeah, anyway, so I just stuck to it. I've been out here since 6:30 this morning. It is now 5:30ish, 5:45. I got to take my one son to work, but it's like perfect. I didn't put the package tray in yet, not until I get the speedometer together. I'm waiting for that trim ring to set up, because I panel bonded that chrome ring to the top of the bezel, because I needed that to sit down, and that's what catches the lip inside the bus itself. So this bus is a forever bus, meaning I am not selling this bus. I mean, obviously, if someone offers me a lot of money for it, I will sell it. But until then, I'm going to drive this thing and I'm going to enjoy it, right? Yeah. So we will. I'm not going to put a part 2 on electrical because I don't need to. I will, next video, I will touch base on how that sending unit worked out, obviously, because that's really the only thing, and the speedo. I'll go through the speedo and show you how that all works. But as far as just all the connections and stuff like that, it's just wire to wire, wire to wire, wire to wire. I'd really like to get a Deutsch, what are those, like those Deutsch pins where you can just make a harness and then just plug it in. That would be cool. I'm probably going to see if I can find something online at Amazon, since I probably won't be doing it until next week. And when I get the sending unit tomorrow, throughout the week, I kind of hang out with wifey, and that's how it goes, because I stick to this on the weekends. All right. Well, thanks for hanging in there with me on my 34-minute spiel on what I did today. Not a lot of action going on, but just know that I have fixed everything, and everything is now working as it should, and it's correct. So yeah, thanks for staying here this long. I appreciate it for sure, especially with this stuff. And hey, go and build something cool, one weekend at a time. Catch you on the next one. Bye.